I'm excited for your first episode.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Are you excited?
I am. It's hard to imagine that it's finally here, and at least I can say I like the movie that we're going to be discussing a little bit more.
Thank you for downloading our recent episode. For more episodes like this, go to movieguyspodcast.podbean.com for more episodes. Enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another awesome episode of Movie Guys Podcast. And tonight we're talking about Wicked for Good. And for the first time, alone, here is Chad taking over for Eric on his 2-month leave. Chad, how the hell you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, but I'm not alone because you're here.
Yes, that's true. First time without Eric. That's right. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
I failed. What a way to kick it off with Wicked for Good. I don't know where to begin. I saw this with you 2 weeks ago on opening night. Reluctantly. I'm not an opening night guy.
What?
I am not an opening night guy.
Why?
I used to be. I was there opening night for episode 3, which was a great experience. I was there for opening night of Saw, which was a great experience, right? Remember that first Saw? Everybody lost their minds at the end, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, it's just, I've had bad experiences going to the bigger theaters on opening nights, just like people loud, obnoxious, throwing stuff. It kind of took me out of the movie. I've become, over the years, just more of a Sunday, late morning, afternoon guy. You know, just sit down, relax, enjoy the movie. Sometimes I would take notes. I don't want to be bothered. I'm there to review a movie.
You were the Sunday driver, weekend casual driver after church of moviegoers. I can get it. I can respect that.
That's why. I still went with you. I still had a great time with you. It wasn't that bad. You know, it wasn't crowded as like I thought. I'm just like, oh my God, opening night. Whew, I was nervous.
Yeah, no, I totally get that.
But you're an opening night guy, clearly.
I mean, I was more opening night for this because the kids were excited. My wife was excited. So I jumped on the bandwagon. I'm like, yes, of course, we're going to go see this. And it just so happened that we all got to see it together.
So have you seen the Broadway musical then?
I saw it in Chicago, not technically Broadway, but.
So you've seen the play.
I've seen the musical, yes.
Yeah, I never have.
Okay.
So you were not on the Wicked review we did last year, but you knew this because we kind of talked about it off air. Going into the first movie, I knew it was following the Wicked Witch of the West. I knew it was her point of view. Gina told me that, which I didn't know this, but Gina told me that it's fan fiction.
Yeah.
So like it's nothing to do with Oz. People that are in charge of Oz or whoever does not say that this is canon, right? So I thought that was interesting. And when the first movie ended, I didn't know that there was going to be a part 2. I guess I missed that.
Okay.
I didn't know. So when the movie ended with Gravity, right, I got in the car with my wife and I was like, I'm going to give that a large bag. Like, what a great way. So now what's going to happen is Dorothy's going to come and we're going to see the Wizard of Oz. All right, this is perfect. And she's like, oh, no, sweetie, there's a sequel. There's a whole nother part to this movie. It's like, there is? She's like, yeah. She spoiled it for me, though.
Oh, no.
Yeah, she told me how Tin Man and Scarecrow were created at the time. And then I forgot about it. And then... what? You and I go see the movie, and then it hits me because I remember I said to you in the theater, oh, it's Tim, because I remember Gina saying it to me. Okay. But yeah, she spoiled it like a year ago.
Well, Gina's a jerk. No, not really, but...
So that is my knowledge from Wicked. So what is your knowledge? Okay, so since you've seen the musical, you've seen the first movie, where do you come from on this? I mean, are you a Wicked fan?
I am a music person. I'm a musical person. I was involved in both in high school, kind of born and raised on all the drama and the stage presence type performance. And yeah, I'm here for it. I think one of the biggest challenges anytime you take a musical and adapt it for a movie, there's always going to be little bits and pieces that probably don't quite fit. And that's okay. That's okay. I don't think it's anything's going to win of the year by any means, but people that are Wicked fans are going to love it, and then everybody else is just going to think whatever they think.
So, fun fact: the Movie Guys Podcast Awards has not been recorded or released yet, but Wicked last year was nominated for this year's Film of the Year. So you know.
Oh, okay.
And how and for people that are listening that do not know yet, or just for you, a movie only gets nominated for Film of the Year for us if both hosts give a large bag. It's automatically Film of the Year, no matter what.
Okay.
Nomination.
Okay.
So, like, there is no gives or takes. There's no black and white, right? Like, both hosts have to give it a large bag, because then we're considering this one of the best films of the year.
Okay, I can respect that. I can get behind that. Thanks for the
So, just so you know on that. Yeah. So, but then our season goes from October to October. So November to November. So that's why Wicked last year is on this year's. You know what I mean? So anyway, I listened to other podcasts in preparing for this show, and I watched some YouTube clips. This is probably going to throw you for a loop. The book is not for children at all. Did you know that? Like,
I was told that. I've never read it, but I was told that.
Fact check me if you don't believe me. Seriously. So, I guess the person who wrote the novel is a very out there, open gay man, and he wrote Wicked as a pro-gay agenda kind of story. I guess the Wicked Witch was very manly, and they would have creatures with two penises, and it was crazy. What's his name? The guy that Bjork, is that the guy? The dude that's in love with the Wicked Witch's sister in the wheelchair. That guy.
Bach.
What's his name? Bach. Sorry. Wow, terrible. Bjork.
Bjork?
Yeah. I guess in the book he practically gets raped and loses his virginity in a gay club.
Okay.
So the reason I'm bringing this up is because I thought that was interesting, so I dove more deeper into it. And that book was at the height of the AIDS epidemic, and it was just this huge thing to where back in the late 80s and early 90s, in the homosexual community, they would ask each other, "Are you with Dorothy?" And if you would say yes, that means you're cool, you're good, let's hang out and party. Interesting.
I'll take your word for it.
It's just so interesting. So I'm just like, huh. And the reason I'm bringing this up, Chad, is the guy who wrote the book's intention is not to be this Broadway big musical. And it's very interesting to have a book that's so dark and very interesting themes become, dare I say, a family-friendly affair. Like, I would love to see the movie based off the book.
Yeah, how many times in the past has anyone ever gone and seen a movie that was adapted from a book and been like, that was a page-for-page adaptation?
Hey, we would have gotten it 20 years ago if Demi Moore got her way.
Oh boy.
I'm just saying. Demi Moore's studio petitioned to get the rights. She was going to play Elphaba, and they were going to do the book, not the play, the book. And it just didn't happen. But Demi, 20 years ago, so you're looking at 2005.
Okay.
So that's the history going into this. So I did not know the whole story about Wicked for Good. You have seen the musicals, so you know what's going to happen. I will say the movie had me in the beginning. Movie opens up with them finishing the Yellow Brick Road. I love that. I love that they were finishing the Yellow Brick Road. But from that scene, pretty much until she becomes the Wicked Witch and has all the monkeys with her, it was hard to watch. It was very dry, very boring. I was not into the movie, majority of it.
I'm sad to hear that. Say more.
Well, dive into it. Oh, well, okay, so all I knew was those few things that I told you that Gina told me about, right, bud? So, the movie opens up with the Wicked Witch, because I don't know any other details, right? So the movie opens up with the Wicked Witch fighting against the Oz people, finished in the Olympic Road. I think that's great because that was a big thing at the end of the first movie. She's for the animals, right? She wants to do good, right? She thinks she's doing good. She's creating havoc, being very witchy. I love it. I was like, this is a perfect way to continue the story. But then after that, it's just this soap opera drama. And I really, really wish that they didn't. Best way to say it is, they didn't make it so dramatized. What I mean is, I would have rather seen Dorothy more, get that story again more. I'd rather have seen the scenes from The Wizard of Oz, because that's what I was hoping for, and that's what I was hoping to get. But I didn't get that.
So I can understand the sentiment. I can understand in this new era of cinema that we live in, where everyone wants an interconnected universe of things within the film that they're watching. Look at anything that has created more than one movie, and you know what I'm talking about. You can watch a Star Wars movie and they'll put in something that harkens back to some other show or movie. Game of Thrones, I would assume. Lord of the Rings with their prequel shows. And I mean, anything Marvel related, of course. They are well known to do that, to call back to other flicks. I think in the case of Wicked, where, as you said, it's fan fiction, and many of us, I'll throw myself in there a little bit. Many of us, when we see something in on the screen, we see whether it's a movie or TV show or whatever, and we're like, hey, this product is related to this other well-known thing that you know about. Well, of course you're going to want to see them together because you know the context, right? I think the thing to remember with Wicked is that the story has so little to do with Dorothy and her journey that maybe it would take away from the actual story of Wicked.
I agree that it would take it away because this is not Dorothy's story at all. This is Glinda and Elphaba's story. 100% agree with you. What I'm saying, though, is I would argue that The Wizard of Oz, is more iconic or on the same playing field as Star Wars or Star Trek, right? I'm like, it's been around for what, almost 100 years? Well, the movie has. The book's been around longer. But there are certain scenes that you have to put in. Just because, I mean, like, you just have to. Like, what I didn't like, jumping ahead a little bit, is the house falls, and in the Wizard of Oz movie, we get Glinda and Elphaba fighting each other, talking with each other in Munchkin Land with a bunch of munchkins, the ruby slippers, all that stuff, right? And then they go away. That doesn't happen in this movie. It's the house falls, Elphaba goes and pays her respects. There's no munchkins. The shoes aren't red. And Glinda and her just have a little, battle to the death, Jim Carrey, cable guy fight. I mean, it's that. I was like, wait a minute. Where's the black and white socks with the curling of the feet, and where's the ruby slipper? Follow the yellow brick road. Where is that? You have to do like a different version of Yellow Brick Road in a musical, right?
No, it's implied.
Okay.
It's implied. We all know it. And I would argue that because it is so classic and everyone knows it, you know what's happening. Your brain can fill in the gaps. That's why it was so, to me, it wasn't jarring when it cuts to Glinda waving everybody goodbye and waving Dorothy goodbye as she runs down the path, down the yellow brick road with all the munchkins. And they're leading her away. That then Elphaba's right there behind her, just wanting to pay respects to her sister. Like she circled back after all the other people left.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So so hold on. Are you saying that what we saw in the Wizard of Oz happened, but then after everybody left, Elphaba came back around?
Yes.
That's a better idea. I mean, it does. It's. I mean, like, is that an idea or is that legit? I mean, because that's okay. Now,
I didn't think about it too hard, but that's just what my brain connected because, again, I'm hearkening back to the Wizard of Oz and what's happening on that plane of existence while everything is happening in Wicked. And so that Dorothy goes skipping down the Yellow Brick Road, and in depictions I've seen of that, some of the Munchkins are leading her away as they walk down, and that leaves Glinda behind. That leaves the house and the Wicked Witch of the East crushed still, even though her feet weren't out. Um, you know, I think it just clicked in my brain. I didn't really think twice about it. Then I'm thinking, all right, Elphaba just comes back. She wants to say goodbye to her sister, and yeah.
so know what I have to do is I have to watch Wicked and Wicked for Good back to back, right? Because I completely forgot about that. Then I'm like, okay, so that makes a lot more sense to me now. That they did the whole "I'll get you, my pretty," right? And then when everybody's gone, then she comes back around to show, because "I'll get you, my pretty" is just an act, right? Like she has to be wicked.
Well,
but she's
and
not.
that's mentioned several times. Is like, not to totally skip ahead, but the Alphaba's telling the wizard, I don't know, maybe halfway through the movie or closer to the end, that I'm going to tell everybody what you've done, and he goes, they wouldn't even believe you. They choose to believe me, even though I'm full of it.
Is it because we live in the highly controversial political landscape that we live in now that this movie hits so hard right now with stuff like that?
You think?
Oh my God! She's like, "I'm going to expose you." It's like, do you think they will believe you? And like in this, what I love Jeff Goldblum does in this movie is that he displays that slimy snarkiness. It's like he came right off the set of Jurassic Park 1. You know what I mean? Like just slimy. Like, do you think they will believe you?
Well,
I love it.
I'm going to cross universes here rather gloriously, pun intended. Inglourious Bastards. What's the fellow's name that plays the German officer that hunts the Jew hunter?
The Jew hunter is Hans. Oh shoot!
Bust out the Google machine.
Hans something. I was gonna say Hans Gruber, but that's Die Hard, bud.
What a great Christmas movie, by the way.
Yeah, Eric says no.
Christoph Waltz. He's Hans Landa, right? And
Hans
so
Landa.
Christoph Waltz was in an interview, and I can't remember who was interviewing, but they're like, "How are you able to just be so evil in this movie?" And he sits up and he's like, "Evil? I'm doing my job. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do." And when you realize he's coming from the perspective of he's not wrong. He's not wrong. He's doing his job. He's doing what he's supposed to do. And he flips that perspective on its head. And when you take that and look at the wizard, of course, it's like effortless for him. He's like, do you think they'd believe you? He's serving a purpose. It's his. I want to cut over to Marvel too. It's his glorious purpose to be this person that fills in all of these tiny little gaps and be this figurehead of Oz and saying, "Oh Maha, oh, he can read the magic book." Oh no, he's just saying a city name. But they'll believe whatever they want to believe to be happy. They believed he was this magical person. He's this wonderful wizard, and all these things are happening. And here we are.
Okay, so then help me with this then, because I don't know if there's stuff in the movie that they left out or maybe things that I missed. But this is what I've pieced together so far from this point of view. Since we're on this point of the wizard. So the wizard, Jeff Goldblum, I'm assuming gets sucked up by a tornado and lands in the world of Oz, or the land of Oz. And everybody thinks he's magical because he came out of this sky with this flying machine,
Yes.
right? Or hot air balloon.
Yeah.
And he's just like, yep. And they're just like, hey, here's this book, right? Here's this golden book or whatever. If you can read from it, you're a wizard. And he just says Omaha, but Omaha. Right. And everybody thinks he's great. So it's parlor tricks. But I'm going to be terrible, and I'm so sorry. But the older woman, the Asian woman, that's kind of his partner, like his vice president,
yes.
if you will. Madame
Marble.
Madame Marble. She knows that he's a fake.
Yes.
But she wants to control him the way he wants to control Elphaba. She's really in charge.
Yeah, Madame Marble is actually the real villain. The Wizard of Oz is the figurehead. He's the role player.
Right.
And if you pay attention to Madame Marble, everything that she's doing, especially when she gives the flying chair and the bubble to Glinda, she's just trying to do the same thing. She's using this other role player to fill a void, to play a part in this scheme, to maintain
which
power.
is to maintain power. So this is where my big question is. To maintain what power? Now, I'm not going off of the book. I can't go off the book, right? Because we're not talking about the book. We're talking about this movie. But was there some great war that happened? And that's why Madame Marble is the way she is? Why does her and the wizard hate talking animals? That is a whole nother subtext right there that I'm reading into.
I think, without reading the book, I took it as the talking animals are intellectuals, and they create this fear around anything that's intellectual. I think you take that with the teacher, the goat that they run off and they throw him in a cage, and then you see him there. Again, they have their role to play, that they're pushed into hiding because they're fearing for their lives. And we don't want truth. Truth isn't helpful. Truth will potentially rock the boat and cause more fear. But with our fake power, speaking for Madame Marble and Oz, and to an extent Glinda, they can control everything and everyone.
Okay, fair. I'm with you on that. So then, how long do we know? How long has the wizard been in power? 20 years? I mean, he was a young man in the beginning of the first movie. We see him again at the end as a young man. The reason why I'm asking, because I'm wondering if it's important or not, to how long this guy's been in power. How long has this ruse been going on?
That's a really great question. I don't know that that's ever answered. And maybe in the book.
Maybe in the book, yeah, because in this movie, in the beginning, we see him as a young man, right? And I'm going to say maybe 25, right? And now he's 50-something. So maybe 30, maybe 40 years he's been in power, right? Because everybody seems to know the wizard. And in the land of Oz, even Elphaba is kind of stricken by him a little bit in the beginning of the first movie, right? It's this powerful, magical wizard. All right. Why all this stuff is going on with Jeff Goldblum, blah, blah, then we also get the Wicked Witch of the East, which I didn't know she was the Wicked Witch of the East. And I left the movie theater saying to my wife, that's the Wicked Witch of the East? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, she wasn't wicked? And she goes, oh, yeah, she was. Mm-hmm. And my wife explained to me, didn't you see the movie? He's like, yeah, I was sitting right there. She goes, she was in love with that Munchkin dude. What was his name? Because Bach. I said Bjork. Bach. You say Amber Bach. I got to remember that.
Yeah, there you go.
So she was in love with Bach, but Bach's in love with Glinda. So he breaks the sister's heart. So he tries to escape Munchkin Land, but she put a blockade, if you will, on all Munchkins leaving Munchkin Land. So that made her the Wicked Witch of the East?
I think there's a little bit more to that they didn't really get into. That's what I infer.
Okay. Because she's not powerful. I mean, she has no power. She's not Elphaba.
No, and that's what they try to highlight in the movie is she's trying to read the book and she messes it up, and then Elphaba has to save him by casting another
Okay.
spell.
Well, for this actress and this character for this movie, she does not deserve the title of Wicked Witch of the East. Heartbroken, made bad choices, but Wicked Witch of the East, that seems a little too harsh.
Okay, that's fair. I can get behind that.
This is where we find out that Elphaba shows up, right, and they're having their sister talk, right, and then she puts on the magical slippers, silver, diamond, whatever, and then Elphaba lifts her up and it becomes red, and I was like, oh my god, that's how it becomes red, and no, they don't become red again. And the only thing that I could figure out from what I read was that the filmmakers of the first Wizard of Oz, because it being Technicolor, wanted it to be red. I guess that was never in the book, and then never in the Wicked book, and never in the original book. It was always silver or diamond shoes, which I didn't know that. But then again, that goes to my argument that I said beginning of the episode, right? Is like, that's iconic, though. I mean, like, you got to have the ruby red slippers, though, right? I mean, that's one thing you got to keep. No?
I don't know. Again,
That's big.
The color is only important, really, with Dorothy. The shoes,
I know, and I
themselves represent just a possession that her sister had, and then she dies in this terrible way, and she just wants the shoes back.
Yeah, but if you're going to remake Jaws and have it be for the shark's point of view, you got to have him eat Quint at the end.
Oh, boy.
You just can't have him not do that.
Oh, man.
You got to, you know what I mean? Like, you got to do that.
There should be a drinking game associated with how many other movies we talk about while we're talking about that particular movie for that particular day. Because we've crossed multiple universes.
This is a standard movie guys review, bud. And this is what happens.
I'm here for it. That's so good.
It's so wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. Okay, so sister and sister are talking. I took it that her meaning Elphaba's sister. What is her name?
Oh my gosh.
The Wicked Witch of the East.
Yeah.
WWE.
Nessa.
Nessa loves Bach, right, and all that stuff. And then Bach storms off. He comes back, blah, blah, blah. And then Elphaba accidentally turns him into the Tin Man. I don't like that.
Is it an accident?
Yeah.
I thought it was she did what she could because Nessa cast a half-baked spell, and then he starts dying.
She made his heart grow. No, shrink.
Nessa did.
Yeah. Nessa made his heart shrink, but turning him into a Tin Man, I think, was an accident.
I don't know. I think it was a necessary spell. It's what kept him alive.
Yeah, but I don't like it. I mean, why do we need to see the creation of the Tin Man? I don't care. I mean, why? Why do we have to see this?
Whoa. Hang on. Your undies are all twisted up because we didn't get to see the ruby red slippers. But you don't want to see how the Tin Man of all characters is created?
So, first of all, I don't think the Tin Man needs to have this huge backstory, or Scarecrow needs to have a backstory, because they're just crazy, funky, weird characters in the land of Oz. We barely, if ever, got a backstory in the Cowardly Lion in this movie. The first one included. The Cowardly Lion is a big star, just like the other two is. We barely get that thing. Barely. It's terrible. I mean, like, I just thought that Tin Man and Scarecrow would just be fun characters. I don't need to see the creation of them. You know, he's a Tin Man. You know, he chops down wood. What more do you need? Why does he have to be created by Elphaba? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't like it. It's messy.
Okay.
You know?
I disagree.
Well, she also jump ahead too. Her boyfriend, what's his name? Pheromone,
Fiero.
Figaro. His name's Figaro. Fiero is getting his butt kicked, and they're killing him after the house drops on her sister, and she casts a spell and turns him into a scarecrow. Why?
She saved his life.
Right, but that's fine. She saved his life, but why create him into a scarecrow? Because doesn't the scarecrow not have brains? So therefore, he has to find brains. But that doesn't happen in this movie.
No.
See what I'm saying? It's like, okay, I will at least backtrack and say that okay, Bach's heart was going small, so she created him as the Tin Man. And then in the Wizard of Oz movie, the Tin Man needed a heart. Okay, cool. Fine. I don't like it, but I'll go with it. Wizard of Oz Scarecrow only need a brain. And it doesn't even happen in this movie. He has a brain.
There is such a thing as suspension of belief when going to see movies.
But again, from a person who doesn't know what he's getting himself into, I just want to see the stuff that I know, that I'm familiar with. It's like going to see.
Sorry, go ahead.
Please don't. No, you interrupt. You do it. You own it when you interrupt.
So you're really feeling the pain over the disconnect and the conflicts with the Wizard of Oz, the story.
It's like going to see a Star Wars movie without lightsabers in it. For me. I just, like, I'm totally on your team about the house falling and that whole scene happened, and then Elphaba comes back around and they do their little fight. That's cool. I didn't think of it that way. You turned my mind on that one. That's great. I'm just saying, because Tin Man, Scarecrow, and Lion are just fun, wacky, lovable characters in this crazy land of Oz, we don't need their backstory. And if you're going to do a backstory, have them be honored to what they are. I mean, Cowardly Lion was a little cowardly. Tin Man didn't talk about his heart throughout the rest of the movie. He was just leading a mob, which was not his character in The Wizard of Oz. And Scarecrow wasn't even complaining about not having a brain.
So I think if you watch it and understand that the entire existence of Wicked, whether you're looking at it from the musical or you're looking at it from the movie, the characters that you watch and you see play out on screen or on stage, they're going to be markedly different because of the perspective. And perspective is what the Wizard of Oz universe / Wicked universe is all about. It's all about perspective. So on one hand, if they're it's quite the juxtaposition, big word, hello, to take the Cowardly Lion that we see in The Wizard of Oz and pair them with the Cowardly Lion that we see in Wicked. And the same goes for the Tin Man, and the same goes for the Scarecrow. We already know Fiero's smart after we see this character develop in the first movie and then see him doing all these things in the second movie, and he's playing that role with Glinda on the stage while they're talking to the Munchkins, and everything's fine and dandy, and then they go behind the stage and they have that serious conversation. They're talking to each other. It's obviously he knows he has to play a role too. And maybe, just maybe, these guys were playing both sides. They're playing the role that they're supposed to play. You see kind of the silly side that we all know and love in The Wizard of Oz, while all these other things are happening behind the scenes. So we know that Scarecrow / Fiero is singing about don't have a brain, but we don't see any of that because we're not with them in the forest when Dorothy finds him. And I think that's probably part of the reason we don't really see much of Scarecrow other than his body moving around in some of those scenes. We don't really see much of him because I think they're still trying to protect that secret that Fiyero became the Scarecrow for some of the people in the audience. So I don't know, if you look at it from the stance that we're seeing multiple sides of the same coin for each character and their perspective, I think it's a little bit easier to reconcile.
I do get it, right? I just find myself being taken out of the movie not knowing what I was getting. Like I said, the first movie, I left that theater going, this is great. Not knowing that there was a number 2, not knowing that this stuff was going to happen. I thought Defying Gravity and okay, Wizard of Oz happens. Perfect. What a prequel. This is why she's so evil, right? That's why I love the first movie so much. It left on such a high note. This one, it's just leave a bad taste in my mouth because it is two sides of the coin or multiple, whatever you want to call it. It's just, I'm not asking for the song if I only had a brain. It's just, I'm looking for key moments, key things to make me smile. I'm looking for a feeling, or like in Milhouse's dad's, can I borrow a feeling? I just was looking for something. Like I guess when Scarecrow got torn up, I was waiting for him to say, but they didn't do it. Then they threw my leg over there and my arm over there. I don't know, things like that.
Yeah,
I was looking for that. I felt completely terrible for Glinda. I completely understand that the first movie is about Elphaba, but this sequel or part 2 is not about Elphaba at all. This is Glinda's story. I mean, my heart goes out for her. I mean, like, she clearly does like or love Fiyero. Fiyero? Yes? Fiyero. She loves him, but he doesn't feel the same way. I think we all can relate to that, right? She knows what she's doing is wrong. She does struggle a little bit and say, no, I don't like this. It's not what we should do. But, shut up, little girl. Go in the corner where we tell you to go, right? And she's like, no, nobody puts Glinda in the corner. I'm just going to be friends with Elphaba still. I just really felt, I really, really felt bad for her. Truly did. And for her to just get screwed by Fiyero and Elphaba, I mean, like, they were secret lovers this whole time. Which I did not believe that relationship, by the way. That is the worst part of the movie for me. That is the worst scene where he flies off with her on her broom with Elphaba, right? And he's in her little tree hut, and she's getting undressed, and he's looking at her get undressed. I'm like, oh God, no, don't do this, right? And clearly they made love, right? Because they're in the bed, she's topless, and it's like, oh God, don't do that. This is supposed to be sexless here, right? This is, I don't want to, no. I because I didn't believe in their love. I didn't care. This wasn't like Noah and Allie here. I didn't want to see these two together. I didn't care about these two. Did you?
I found myself. I think it's really important that if you're gonna buy into these characters for this sequel, without rehashing everything for like 5 or 10 minutes at the beginning of the second movie, you probably have to watch them back to back to be able to appreciate all these bits and pieces that are left over from the first movie.
I mean, are
like
you against
wreck,
me?
right?
Right, but are you against me?
I wouldn't say I'm necessarily against you. I see your point. It's just it's kind of a conclusion of a story arc, or it's landing the plane on that arc, because they have all these interactions in the first movie where you can see kind of love coming together, but Glinda's around and all these other things are kind of pulling them apart, and then everything else falls apart in the first movie. And then here we are in the second movie, thrust back into the throes of conflict. And I don't know, I don't really feel strongly either way. Like, I'm okay with it. It didn't really ruffle my feathers too much. Honestly, there was a portion of the scene that I missed because I had to take my youngest to the bathroom during the movie. So, but of all the things to miss, I guess I could do without that the most.
That's what I'm saying. I just didn't care for them. Now here's the funny thing. I know they filmed the whole thing together. They didn't film it back to back. Like they literally filmed the whole movie. This was all planned to split them in two parts. Blah blah blah. But I felt that Pharaoh was written better and he acted better in the first movie. I loved everybody in that first movie. And I think the reason why I'm so jaded, if that's the right word for this, is because I want more of that first movie. I want more of Elphaba. But now you're teasing me with Dorothy, and I really want to see what this world's version of that is. And since you're teasing me and not letting me see the full Monty, I'm getting upset.
You're gonna like take that to the grave, aren't you?
That's the point of the show.
On your tombstone, it's gonna say, "Here lies Jordan."
Yeah.
Here were the 3 toppings he wanted on his tombstone pizza, and also, if you like, remember that reference.
I do. That's why I'm laughing.
And he also was really upset about Wicked Part 2.
I'm very upset, as you can tell. I mean, I'm sure your wife's going to listen to this episode, and she's going to completely did not agree with me at all. But that's okay.
She's going to unfriend you.
100%. It's okay. Eric's wife has unfriended me at least a half a dozen times this year alone, so it's fine. It's totally fine. We call her HR, by the way.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So, love interest, blah blah blah. Pharaoh becomes Scarecrow. So now the story's beginning. So now this is where the big movie's not really at the climax part because it's a long climax, right? But this is where Elphaba is starting to get seduced by the wizard, right? He's promised her all these things. It sounds like a good deal. Sounds like she's going to take it. Wizard's just like, hey, what's the song he says? You're remarkable? Or, oh no. Do you know the song?
I don't remember, honestly. I don't remember.
All right. Well, he sings the song, and he's just talking about how wonderful she is, and she's buying on it, right? And Glinda's buying on it too, and do all these things, right? And this is when Mrs. Marble comes in, and she is also the one that causes the tornado, which I didn't really like either.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about magical people, there's only really 2 in the world of Oz. It's
Right.
Madame Morrible and Elphaba.
Is it a spoiler that people did not know that Jeff Goldblum is Elphaba's dad? Because I've seen TikToks of people getting pissed off that was spoiled. It's like, that's clear.
No, that's. I thought that was pretty clear in the first movie.
Yes.
If you weren't paying attention, I guess maybe you missed it. I didn't think it was that hard to miss.
Everybody knows Jeff Goldblum. You go back and watch the first movie, and he's macking on Elphaba's mom. He's doing the Jeff Goldblum moves. He has that Jeff Goldblum tone and voice. I'm like, oh, it's Jeff Goldblum.
The cadence, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
They just totally missed that point in the first movie.
What I find very fun, though, is that we're not ending the show, but at the end of the movie, everybody knows, for the most part, that Elphaba is his daughter, but she does not, which that's heartbreaking and so awesome at the same time because she has no idea. And would she have done the things that she did if she knew, right? That's the fun question.
Absolutely. I think absolutely. She would probably be even more convicted that her own biological father is sitting there doing all of these things. Like, that's even more shameful.
100%. It would be such a great story to just see that, right? Make that the movie, right? Just about, I'm your father. No, that's impossible. Yeah, right?
But isn't that part of the beauty of theater and drama to some degree, is the irreconcilable plot points, the notes that go unresolved, and they're done that way on purpose because they want you, whoever wrote those things in for a reason. They want you to feel that the pain of that Glinda feels of losing Elphaba, knowing that Elphaba wasn't the person in the wrong this entire time, but Glinda knows that she has the role to play, and she can't ever, as far as she knows, she thinks Elphaba's dead. and here's Elphaba going off with Fiyero and has no idea that man was her actual father. And then, but then the biggest part is that all these people, the movie starts this way and it almost ends this way, that they're singing about the Wicked Witch is dead and how happy they are. And she's a symbol of evil, and it's tragedy because of who she is and who she was and who she was, all these people that she was fighting for, all these things that were right. I mean, tell me that this movie, not that it that this movie applies just as much back then as it does today, with politics and our society and how critical we are of each other. Like, we demonize the other side, sometimes because we don't know them, sometimes because they're different, sometimes because we don't understand them, but sometimes we don't even take the time to understand.
No, 100%. Yeah, she was demonized since in the beginning of the first movie because she was green, because she looked different. In a world with talking animals, we're going to believe that she was this wicked thing all along. I have no problem with that. I think that's great storytelling for this, because now we're getting her point of view of it. And I do agree with you on having open ending stuff, right? I'm still wondering what Brad Pitt saw in the box in that movie. I'm wondering what was in the box.
Now we are playing a drinking game of what movies we get multiversal bingo each time we review a movie.
Hey, I'm testing your knowledge, bud. Yeah.
What's in the box?
What's in it? I don't know. Do you know? It's implied, right?
Yeah.
But anyway.
Roll credits.
Roll credit. We're done. Have a good night. But I really do stand on this hill that part 2 is Glinda's story, because we get a lot more of her in this, and I wish it would have ended again. You're gonna hate me. I wish it would have ended differently. We'll talk about that before the popcorn ratings, but I like how strong she became. I like how sure of herself she became as well too, because yeah, she was pretty Miss Popular, Regina George, right? But she was weak. She wasn't magical. Everybody liked her because she was pretty and popular. You know, nobody really cared about her, right? So now she becomes strong, and I liked her story arc in this. I liked her journey on this. She becomes the great Glinda, right? The Witch of the North. I don't know. Is that what she is?
Something like that, yeah.
Witch of the South. I don't know. But, okay, so the ending of them talk. Okay, no, I want to talk about the ending. I want to talk about a song that my wife didn't like either. And I guess was not in the play, because every time they remake these movies, like Beauty and the Beast did it with the live actions, that they always have to throw some studio-made song into it. And this is where the Tin Man is leading the gang of people, the mob, to kill the witch. Hated that. Now, you said earlier, which you're totally right, that it's hard for me to separate this, but that didn't happen at all in Wizard of Oz. Right?
Yeah,
so
we don't see that.
That's not even his character in Wizard of Oz. So that's another reason why I get pissed. And I know that you say I need to separate the two, and I'm going to put that on my grave. I get it. But this Tin Man is a completely different Tin Man from the very, very first movie, man. I mean, this is a vengeful, mean, no pun intended, heartless Tin Man. And I don't like it, because that's not him.
I think that's the point.
Why?
That's the point. He's heartless.
Okay. Yeah,
he's looking for revenge.
All right. Well,
you have this tin metal man walking around with an axe.
I'm just saying. I've been dogging on it a little bit, but one of the best scenes in the movie, the best scene in the movie for me, is when she becomes the Wicked Witch, right? She has that great defining gravity moment, right? When she's in the castle, the Wicked Witch's castle, right? It has that great shot. And I know it's all CG, but I love the shot of her floating with all the flying monkeys around her. I was like, that's great. That should have been the poster. I love that shot. That was great. I love it. But then I'm turning on the movie again, right? So She gets Dorothy, right? She doesn't do, um, oh, the time thing. Oh, Jesus. You have 2 hours. I don't know. You know, the ones where she.
Oh, yeah, the whatever it's called, the sand and the time glass thing.
God, we're
Using
so
really big words here.
stupid. Me
I
read
speak
so
good
good.
words.
Yeah.
I'm super good reader.
So she just throws her in the basement, and I'm like, okay. And then this is where Glinda and Elphaba have their goodbye moment, right? Their best friends forever moment. It's supposed to be a great song. It's fine. I think she's like the song I just talked about, right? How wicked she was when she became the Wicked Witch. I like that better. Song does nothing for me, but I do still feel bad for Glinda. And this is where I'm griping again. Now, you were saying to me, and you convinced me on the house falling down, and you're saying that I got to have suspension of disbelief. But there are moments in this movie, Chad, that still frustrate me. Like, bear with me, but in The Wizard of Oz, Scarecrow, Lion, Tin Man dress up as the soldiers, oh wee oh, oh ho, right? Go up into the castle, get Dorothy. All the soldiers are around. They get trapped by the Wicked Witch. She says, how about a little fire, Scarecrow? Tries to burn him with her broom, catches him on fire. Dorothy throws the water and melts the witch. I don't have a problem that it was a ruse and it was a trap door. What I do have a problem with is that Glinda and Elphaba are singing their goodbye, I love you song, and then Elphaba puts Glinda in the closet, and then all we're seeing is through the point of view of the closet. Where's all the guards? Where's Tin Man? Where's Cowardly Lion? Where is this stuff? Because they literally do not put that in this movie.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying? It's just because this is what Glinda saw.
This is what Glinda saw.
Oh God, she's an unreliable narrator. Then I'm upset.
Oh man. I love how passionate you are and insistent you are about getting all these pieces of The Wizard of Oz into Wicked. And I'm sure that you would be voted a very popular person on the internet for holding that point of view. However, I believe that it proves the point of the story even more. It's perspective. You want to argue that the perspective that we knew as truth, being Wizard of Oz and the story therein, that is the true perspective. And if that's the true perspective, then why don't the people from this other perspective see that perspective? Why don't the people on this other side of the story that we didn't know existed, those being people being in Wicked, why aren't they including the perspective that we had of the story of the Wizard of Oz? Well, that's the whole point. When you're on one side of a story, when you're on one side of any kind of truth or conflict, you don't get the full perspective. You just see what you see. You get what you get. Very few people get the privilege or the curse in some instances to exist between both perspectives. And I realize that's probably deep. I haven't had enough beers to be able to process all of that just came out of my mouth. But uh thanks. I appreciate that. I didn't even rehearse it. I didn't even look myself in the mirror before the show and practice that. But I mean, if you're remembering that the whole thing is about perspective, and you see you see the story, you see events play out from other people's eyes, then I think it becomes a little easier to digest. And I totally understand where you're coming from, just from reviewing movies, and we're talking about media here. I get it, but I think it's almost like part of the meta narrative. You know what I mean? Like, it's a story of a story.
I will not disagree on your points. I think you have very, very good points, and I think you're making me look at the movie in a different light, right? But it's still though, it's like I could forgive a lot of stuff with this, right? Some of the stuff I was just having some fun with. Some of the stuff I actually believed in, but the end of the Wizard of Oz movie is huge, and for them to just have Dorothy looks like a bee, like it's just Dorothy runs in by herself, and all we see is silhouette, and just throws water on her, and it's just like, okay, like, all right. And was it even mentioned in the first movie that she's afraid of water? Where did this even come into play?
It's part of the narrative. It's the narrative that there was a line in a newspaper they flashed across the screen that I think it's Elphaba's afraid of water, or water will kill her.
So it's propaganda.
Yes, it's propaganda, absolutely. And she
Okay,
played
gotcha.
and Elphaba played into the propaganda to escape.
Well, she did a good job, right? And she escaped, right? Everybody thinks she's dead. The Munchkins are celebrating, and then this is where the first movie begins, right? One of the Munchkins say to Glinda, "Hey, you guys were friends. Not only were we friends, we were roommates," and all that stuff. Yeah. And then the internet's going crazy because we see Scarecrow getting Elphaba out of the dungeon, out of the basement, the trapdoor, and they linger on him so we can see his face, and everybody say that's Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, it kind of did. It kind of did look like him. That was honest to goodness, my biggest beef with the entire movie was that, because I thought it was CGI and it wasn't.
Oh, it's not?
No, my wife told me, she looked it up. She's like, "Oh, actually, it's like practical effects. It's not computer generated."
Well, they didn't have a big Scarecrow budget.
And then I told her, I was like, "Oh gosh, I think that's worse."
Yes. Right. And then now Elphaba and Scarecrow are now off out into the dunes, into the beyond, right?
Yeah, there
traveling.
was a name for that. It was like the land beyond.
The land before time.
Like, no, I don't know.
No?
If that was it. But,
okay. I was curious. I think I told you in person. So again, here I go again. How I feel the movie should have ended was Glinda. We see Glinda go to the gravity tower, right? And she sees the book. The book opens, blah, blah. And then we see her looking down, and the wizard's waving, right? And everybody's like, "No, wizard," right? And then Dorothy's there screaming, "I just want to go home. I just want to go home." Right? There's no magical anymore, right? Nobody's magical right now. The reason why the Elphaba was magical is because she was she was a Muggle, right? She was a half-breed, right? She was human and Ozian, right? So it's like, that's why. But then I really wish Glinda would have flown down in her bubble and, said the line to Dorothy to show us that Glinda now has magic. That's what I've loved to have seen. It's like, hey, you've had the power to go home all the time. Click these heels, girl.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to have seen. To show, does she have powers or does she not have powers? Is those powers still Elphaba controlling things, or is it Glinda? Right? No?
I understand.
I'm just saying.
I let that moment go. I didn't really care about Dorothy.
You're not supposed to. And I'm the one on this ivory tower here saying, care about Dorothy. Eat it.
Ivory tower.
But it's not working. All right, guys, let's get into our popcorn rating for here. Chad, since this is your first time with it, right? You did with Smash Machine, but I will go first and let you stew on it here. I'm not giving this a large. I'm shocked. I went into this movie expecting to give this a large. I was ready to go. I was hyped. I had my Wicked underwear on, both pink and green on each side. I was excited. But the movie did leave me with a lot of bad taste in my mouth. I said my gripes throughout, but I thought the middle of the movie was very trying and boring. And I didn't think the songs were that great either. There was no Defining Gravity song in this, right? They tried, but nothing as big as that, right? Like in Frozen, right? Nothing's better than Let It Go. Reason why I brought the reference up is because the lady that played Wicked Witch on the Broadway. Anyway, but I did like Elphaba in this movie. I did like Glinda. Didn't care about the creation of Scarecrow with Tin Man, like I said. And we didn't talk about him that much, but Jeff Goldblum as the Wizard is magic to me. I mean, he is so good, and he always is good. So I enjoyed him in this. But I'm going to give this a medium because I didn't think it ended on a good note. It didn't make me want more. It wanted me to see more of that first movie. So, first movie is a large bag, nominated for Film of the Year for us, but this one's a medium for me. So, Chad, what is your popcorn rating for Wicked for Good?
So I've stewed on this a little bit because I could go either way. I could go medium, I could go large, and I'm an apologist for the musical side, the drama side, because I get it. When you're doing 2 acts of the same performance, whatever happens in the first one is building the tension. Whatever happens in the second one, the second act, meaning that's the resolution. That's where you begin to land the plane. That's where you start to tie up the story. And in normal sequel movies, in movie movies, what pick your movie series that had multiple movies. Back to the Future, Star Wars, whatever it is. I actually would argue that Back to the Future is the best trilogy ever because each movie accomplishes what it's a movie's supposed to accomplish while building on the biggest story, the story that overreaches the entire trilogy. And this, it's really hard to do because it's a two-parter, and it's really hard to regain all of that emotion that you built in the first one in the second one without having to redo anything and that's not what it called for. That you were literally just taking the first act and you made the first movie. You took the second act and you made the second movie. I think if you watched it all together, you would have a different opinion than you do of the second movie. That being said, I'm going to give it a medium.
Oh,
I'm giving it a
I'm
medium
shocked.
bag.
I thought you were going to go for large.
Well, even as I was given that spiel, I was thinking about it. But the show's called the Movie Guide Podcast. It's not the Performance Guys Podcast. We're talking about movies. We're talking about execution. We're talking about the story. And anytime you take a musical and you have the multiple parts, it's always that second part is always gonna be a challenge in most shows that I've seen, to be able to stand on their own because it's not meant to stand on its own. And that's the difference between mediums that we see here. And so because the story is hampered by the second act of the musical of the show Wicked, it's missing things that we would normally get in a sequel movie, whether it's doing some exposition about what happened in the movie prior or something to call you back in and bring you back in emotionally into that flick. And that's just what happens when you're taking something from a musical and putting it into a movie. So I don't think it's wrong. I think it's probably as best as it could have done. I before I gave that rating, I like to see what some of these people online like to say, and they're giving it a much harsher picture of what the movie experience was like for them. But also, I think these are also movie people. I love the story. I mean, if I could break it down into pieces, I'd say the story was a large bag. But the movie itself, I'm gonna go with medium, and I'm not gonna lose any sleep over it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not terrible. A medium bag does not mean that it's bad, right? It's just it was just missing a few more kernels in there to make it a big large bag, right? It just wasn't there yet, right? But a medium is fine. I mean, it's a decent overall movie. I would love to have this on the background on a Sunday morning cleaning the house,
Sure.
no problem with it. Well, Chad, thank you so much for joining me in this episode. We're going to close it out with everybody who's listening. Check us out at movieguyspodcast.podbean.com. You can download us on on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, on Spotify. Did I say Spotify already? I don't know. Wherever you get your podcast from, we are on those platforms. Chad, thank you so much for joining me, and we'll be back next Thursday for another awesome episode. Have a good night. Okay, but what does hibernation mean, though? Does that mean that they're actually sleeping, or does this mean they're just a bear in a cave, they sleep, but then they just chill out in the cave, move around, poop, pee? You know what I mean?
Oh, apparently there's two different types of hibernation. There's
Educational. Okay.
torpor, and then there's true hibernation. So, unlike true hibernators, bears' body temperatures don't drop to extremely low levels, allowing them to wake more easily. So, I mean, it looks like there's kind of some if-then statements for some of these types of hibernation. But, one thing is true. I did not have talking about bears hibernating on my weekly bingo card this week. So, no free space.
I'm just saying, you talked about hibernation, popped in my head, and I was just like, do they actually sleep? I don't think so. Not the whole time. They can't. Right? Right.
Mm.
Okay, you were making me feel stupid for a second.
No,
I was like, okay,
well,
did I just
you believe what you learned in all the Disney movies growing up. Animals hibernate. They just disappear for the winter, which is kind of true. You don't really see them.
What is the worst? What is the worst Disney princess? Who is the worst Disney princess?
Snow White.
No, okay, so let me be a little bit
Beauty.
easier. So she defines on who the love interest is, the overall story, and the villain. With those combined, who is the worst?
Run that back.
To be the worst, it's the character of the princess, who her love interest is, and the villain. Who's the worst?
What was that movie that came out a couple years ago? Wish. That one sucked. If that girl's a Disney princess, she's terrible. I can't even remember the movie.
Okay, let's get this even more clear. Classic. Anything from 2000 backwards. No. 2010 backwards. You got Princess and the Frog. So Princess and the Frog backwards.
I don't know. Those classics are pretty terrible movies. None of those really hold up.
Beauty and the Beast is legit, though.
That's not a classic to me. I'm talking like old animation. So I'm thinking Snow White versus Sleeping Beauty here.
Oh, really? Okay, so I'm going to consider like 2010's backwards classic, right? Because, I mean, those are classic movies that we had growing up, right?
I mean, I was grown up by 2000.
Beauty and the Beast. We're the same age.